This week on Two Bears, One Cave.
Do you mind?
You titty fuck elsewhere.
Can you not?
You remember finger fucking on the handball courts? The guy really is just passionate about sports. I don't think he's a bad guy.
No, he's probably a great man.
Yeah.
100%. Cheers. We are supported by Freeze Pipe. Ever since humans discovered the magic of cannabis, one question has always remained. Why is the smoke so damn hot? I got to be honest with you. I love the smell of weed. I do. I love rolling a joint. I love hitting a pipe. I love packing a bowl. But the burn in my throat, come on. Enter Freeze Pipe, the maker of the coldest glass piece that eliminates harsh smoke, throat burn, and coughing attacks. Whether you're into pipes, bubblers, bongs, even dab rigs and joints, there is a Freeze Pipe to match your style. Traditional pieces use just the water filtration for smooth hits, but with Freeze Pipe, you get water filtration and their market-leading freezable glycerin chamber that cool smoke by over 300 degrees. I don't know if you know this, but lately I've been a cannabis user, and I will tell you, all that throat burn is gone. And the throat burn's the thing that bothers me. That's why I ended up hitting vapes for so many times. And then now I got these Freeze Pipes, keep them on the bus, secret time. Shop the smoothest pipes, bubblers, bongs, and more at thefreezepipe.com and use code BEARS for 10% off your entire order. That's thefreezepipe.com and code BEARS for 10% off. Order today and start fighting fire with ice.
Bert is having a heart surgery this week, and while he's in recovery, we are so happy that Sam Morril is here, everybody. Don't forget that you can see Sam at the theater at Madison Square Garden on November 4th. Get tickets at sammorril.com. You can also listen to his podcast, We Might Be Drunk, with the great Mark Norman, and his latest special, Same Time Tomorrow, is currently streaming on Netflix. That's a lot of stuff. Yeah. That's pretty cool. Dude, you're doing the fucking Garden.
I know. I'm nervous and pumped, but yeah, that's like, I'm a 90s Knicks kid, so that's, and I still go to a shitload of Knicks.
Yeah, you're
games.
like a legit fan.
I love the Knicks more than any. Like,
Is that your number one?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a New York sports fan, but the Knicks are like up here.
Were you in the city growing up? Or like, were you in Manhattan?
I was in Manhattan.
Yeah, I always feel like, I don't know, that's like kind of the coolest thing to hear. Like when you're a kid and you're living in like the Midwest and you meet a kid who's like, I live in New York. You're like, what the fuck? That sounds like make believe.
I love it. Yeah, it was the best. I had a good childhood.
Yeah.
I mean, the 90s Knicks were the coolest shit I've ever seen. And they never won, but it didn't matter. It's not about winning. It's about losing the way they lost. It was like, they'd still fuck you up.
I remember it because I was heaviest into the NBA in that era for obvious reasons. Like it just age-wise, it aligned. And it also was like the best. Yeah. I mean, we were living, at one point, we lived in Minneapolis. So I went to the very first Timberwolves game ever.
Holy shit.
Yeah, against the Bulls. So I saw Jordan beat the new Timberwolves. And then we moved to Milwaukee and I went to a number of Bucks games, but I got to see him play there twice.
Damn.
And win both times, of course. But so that whole era is like, that's when like the NBA was like, I used to love watching that show on the one that Ahmad Rashad hosted, like
just sucking off Michael Jordan
sucking
every morning.
Him off every day. He's like,
he was like, my best friend, Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
I'm like, does he call you his best friend?
Yeah,
this feels like.
But also, you saw everybody who would talk to Michael turn into like such betas.
Yeah.
Like the time that I flew with Mike Tyson, the one thing that I don't talk about in the bit really is that when he sat down and I saw him, these two just like older white guys were like, hey, how you doing, Mike? And they just you could just see they were like, I own a car dealership. If you ever want a car, I'll give it to you. And like the other guy was like, I have a restaurant. If you want to eat forever, they just start like, they don't know what to do. I get it because you kind of want to
just want them to like you.
That's it. So you're just trying.
It's celebrity plus you could beat the shit out of them.
Yeah, and you're just like, you're going. I acknowledge that you're a better man. You're just signing off on it right away. You're better than me. Is there anything I could do to make you happy?
I met Jalen Brunson at a Rangers game this year, and I was with I brought Gary Vita with me, Rachel Feinstein, Liz, who's the cellar manager.
Yeah.
and we're there, and I just turned into a fucking pussy. I don't know. I'm not usually bad like this, but I went up to him. I was like, thank you so much for coming to the Knicks. And he was just like, And Liz had to like swoop in and be like, he's a comedian with a Netflix special. And he was like, oh, cool. And I was like, oh my God, I was blowing it that hard.
Yeah.
It sucked.
There's something about especially athletes that you like. I saw Barry Sanders once. Ooh. And it was at an ATM. It's like the last place you're supposed to approach.
The Lions didn't pay him enough.
No, I was like, I was like, hey, he was like, look, I was like, you're the greatest of all time. And he was like, thank you. And I was like, can we take a picture? I mean, I totally turned into fangirl, dude. I couldn't help it. And we have a photo where he's like, like, thanks.
Well, it's like, that's money? Like your face when you're with like an open micer. It's like, can I take a picture with you? And you're like, but they're like, all right.
Yeah, they're like, okay, dude. But I remember so well that Knicks era because I remember Ewing, Starks, Oakley, Mason.
I loved him.
Dude, that was, I even remember, do you remember the Def Jam episode where Anthony Mason's in the crowd?
No, but I heard about that.
And they
used to all go to Caroline's and shit.
Dude, and they clown him so, I mean, they obviously know he's there, but they make it seem like they're just clowning Anthony Mason, and then the lights come on him, and they would clown people so hard on that show. But it was pretty epic, man.
I loved him so much. I shot a commercial with Oak that never came out, but it was such a bad commercial.
What was the commercial for?
It was just like a joke ad for Bleacher Report, but it was like pretty good money at the time for me. And I remember being like, they're like, you get to shoot it with an NBA player. I was like, oh, who? And they're like, Charles Oakley. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? I loved him. So yeah, we spent the whole day together. And I met him once before when I had a show on MSG on the Knicks Network, and it was right after he got thrown out of the Garden, and I put the mic up to him, and he just sees the MSG mic, and he just smacked it out of my hand, and I was like, dude, I fucking love you. I'm not, I have a show on this network, but I'm a fan too, and he was like, all right, fine. So he was kind of warming up after that, and I saw him on Chopped, because he cooks, that's his whole thing.
He does?
He's like a legitimate chef.
Charles Oakley?
Dude, he's part of Michael Jordan's entourage. His entourage is like Oakley. He's like, I'm your chef and bodyguard, essentially.
Yeah, because like Oak, it's known that like the two of them were always super close.
They're tight, yeah. So I started talking food with him, and he started warming up, and then he didn't remember me from that, thank God. And then I shot a commercial with him, and he was fucking cool. He was really. I was just like, man, I love the '90s Knicks, and I love basketball because of you guys. And he was like, thank you, man. So we had a good day, but he can't really act. And there was a child actor in it, and the kid was running circles around him. It was pretty rough, to the point that like we had to keep calling cut. And the director kept babying Oakley, like, you're doing great. And Oakley was like, no, I'm not. And I was like, yeah, you can't.
He's used to a coach.
Yeah, you can't lie to him. Yeah. So I kind of went in, I was like, what if you give the kid all these lines? And Oak just says yes. And he was like, yeah, that works. And Oakley was like, thanks. So I got him like, got him like, all right, I'm directing Oak.
He was a legit, and you always have to like think about everybody else. When you talk about how great someone is, like when people talk about Jordan, right? And they're like, this is how great this guy was.
Yeah.
You gotta remember, like, he's great against people who would murder everybody. Like if you played one-on-one against fucking John Starks, he would just destroy you, right?
Dude, and then the worst player on his team is probably the best player in their high school.
Totally. But then everybody from that era talks about what a legit intimidator Oakley was.
Yeah.
And so like, how intimidating must he be? Or must he have been in that time? If those guys who are all like fucking 6'9", they're like buildings walking around, and they're like, well, I don't want any part of Charles Oakley. Like, he must have been terrifying.
Yeah, I think he just didn't give a fuck too.
Yeah, he's huge.
He's like 6'9". He's a fucking handsome guy too. He's aging well.
Yeah.
He looks good.
Yeah.
I bet he got a lot of poon in the 90s.
All those guys.
There's stories about him doing like blow with Donald Trump in the 90s at like nightclubs, and you're like, those dudes were getting a lot of ass.
And there's no social media. No cameras on phones.
No. Yeah. Nothing.
Yeah, they're just like, you just see them and they'd be like, what's up? That was it. You'd be like, I saw that, and they'd be like, whatever.
He was a man, dude. That was the era.
That was the era, dude. Think about the tale that an MJ had access to.
Yeah, and then they would like, there was the people that everyone on the team banged. Like I think the Bulls, they all fucked Madonna.
Jesus.
Really? I think it was like Rodman, Pippen, and Jordan.
All did?
They all did.
God, wouldn't you love to hear a scouting report from her after that? Like, what the ultimate alpha is MJ.
Yeah.
And it's like, I bet she's like, I mean, he's kind of laid there.
I think Pippen had a bigger dick, though.
Pippen supposedly fucked 4 times a day for 23 years or something.
Wow.
That's what his ex-wife said.
Yeah, he must have cheated on her a lot. Like, we all hear now, like, that what she's doing now is fucked up.
That's scandalous, dude.
Fucking,
it is
Michael Jordan's
the foulest
son?
shit that I've ever heard.
That's like, do you have an enemy that you can picture?
But also, like, that was who he called Auntie when he was a kid. Like, he'd be like, hey, Auntie, and she would go like, hey, I got you a Coke. Like, it was like that relationship. It's so strange. It's so strange.
Yeah, it's just weird to be Michael Jordan's son.
Yeah, for
and
people
this
that
is all
don't
I know
know
about you is that you fuck Pippen's ex-wife.
For people that don't know, one of Michael Jordan's sons, Marcus, who runs a fucking, like, the trophy room, a fucking shoe place in Orlando. He is now engaged to Scottie Pippen's ex-wife. I mean,
Pippen and Jordan are not on good terms.
Right. The fallout apparently all started during The Last Dance, right?
Yeah.
Like, I guess, well, not in the making. It's like when it came out, Pippen voiced that he was like not thrilled with the way it was.
Yeah,
done.
I get where he's coming from. But then also then Pippen, like, he's not subtle about it. He'll go on shows and be like, I just feel like LeBron is better than Jordan, and be like, you didn't say that 2 years ago.
Yeah.
It's feeling like you're fucking pissed. And now, like, holy shit, I can't imagine how much this dude hates Jordan right now.
Well, this is just, it's just strange, man. It's very strange. Yeah.
What is she? She's really the villain.
It feels like.
I mean, what do you do? Like? I understand he cheated on you, but he was an NBA player. You know the deal. It's not. I'm not defending him, but you have an NBA star. He's gonna fuck Madonna.
Yeah.
But then you can't fuck his enemy's son.
It's really, and it's his former, like, those two are linked together forever. Jordan and Pippen, like that. And you're going for his son?
Yeah.
It's
gross.
The wedding will be weird. It's going to be weird, man. It's so strange. Like, how old is she? She looks great, obviously.
She looks amazing, yeah. Late 40s, probably.
And he's like 30? Maybe, right?
Probably, yeah.
Early 30s?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see. He is 32. Okay, and how old is Larissa?
Larsa.
She is 49. All right. Yeah, I mean, that's almost a 20-year age gap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
TV personality? What TV show is she on? Is she
on,
like
like one of those the wives?
God, it's like, I really resent these. She's on The Real Housewives.
Here you go. This is insane. Fucking Pippen got fucked on his contract too.
I know, it was like it was shit,
horrible.
and but then he got made up for it a little bit. But yeah, that's some fucking
yeah,
and it's some dark shit too, because it was because his brother was handicapped, right, and his dad was sick or something, and he was like, I just got to take the guarantee. It
was just he didn't. I don't know who was advising him. Somebody gave him shit advice, but the worst part is you're watching that Last Dance thing.
Yeah,
and the owner is like, he's like, yeah, he said he would sign him. I mean, what am I supposed to do? Tell him that it's a horrible deal? And like, fuck,
it's like
man.
hearing Hesh and The Sopranos defend what he did to R&B groups in the 60s. You're like, you're a fucking bad dude.
It's not good, man.
Yeah.
It's really not good. Yeah, I don't know. For me, I really, for a while there, I lost interest completely in the NBA.
Yeah.
Yeah, after 2000, I was like, and now I kind of like, I become like a casual, as they say,
Yeah.
And like I watch the highlights and stuff. But that, for me, that decade was just,
it was epic.
yeah,
for sure. No, it was. I love it still, but that decade was formative for me.
The difference for me now is that I've gone to a few games live, and I think there's no league that does the live experience better than the NBA.
I agree.
So like when I go to those games, I'm like, I can get
I don't want to go to a football game anymore. And I know that's like sounds crazy because I love watching football. I'll watch every game, but like do you see what happens? Like, there's like women beating up women there. And it's not like fun cat fights. It's like they're like punching their fucking head in. And I'm like, I don't want to see a woman from Cincinnati just break a Baltimore woman's face.
I know.
It's not like hot cat fighting. It's like they cat fight like dogs.
You don't have to be an athlete to need extra hydration throughout your day. From Zoom meetings and workouts to long travel days and fun nights out, Liquid IV makes it easy to stay hydrated with 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink, plus 8 vitamins and nutrients for everyday wellness. Liquid IV hydrates 2 times faster than water alone, all in a single stick. And now their hydration multiplier comes in 3 delicious sugar-free flavors: white peach, green grape, and lemon lime. A proprietary 0 sugar hydration solution with no artificial sweeteners. I love Liquid IV sincerely and use it every day. I take multiple packs with me. I take it on the road and I count on it for my hydration, pre-workout, post-workout, before I go to bed. I love Liquid IV and I highly endorse it. 1 stick of Liquid IV and 16 ounces of water hydrates better than water alone with no artificial sweeteners and 0 sugar. Liquid IV is also non-GMO and free from gluten, dairy, and soy. Grab your Liquid IV hydration multiplier sugar-free in bulk nationwide at Costco, or you can get 20% off when you go to liquidiv.com and use the code CAVE at checkout. That's 20% off anything you order. You shop Better Hydration today using promo code CAVE at liquidiv.com.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Do you ever feel like your brain's getting in its own way all the time? By the way, that doesn't make you different. I think that most people feel like that. And I think most people kind of try to ignore it, and then it builds up. And then it builds up one day in a way where all of a sudden you're in the car and you're fighting with someone that isn't sitting next to you. And you're having fights by yourself. You know it's good for you, but you just can't do it. Let me tell you right now, therapy helps you figure out what's holding you back so you can work for yourself instead of against yourself. That is the key phrase. Work for yourself. Work for yourself. Work in the right direction. Make everything go in the right direction. Be like the stream. Don't try to swim upstream and make life more difficult. Therapy can help you swim with the stream. If you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. I only do online therapy. I just told someone the other day, one of my best friends growing up was talking about therapy, and he's like, oh, I want to do therapy. I was like, you can do it online. He didn't even know you could do it online. It's so much easier that way. Make your brain your friend with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/bears today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/bears.
I know, and it's also like, I mean, look, it's what you like, but I've been to a few live, and you're just like, you're always looking like who's above you. There's people spilling drinks. There's people like saying the wildest shit, and you know, you're like, sometimes I'm like, man, I'm glad I didn't bring my kid to this. Hearing these guys, you fucking pussy piece of shit, like screaming it, and you're like, okay, like, can we just watch the game? You can't. So the only way
I walk that line too, because I do like when people say horrible shit at sporting events too, because that's like the 90s kid in me where I remember just hearing shit where you're like, wow, you can't say that anymore.
No.
But yeah, they started tailoring these games to families too much. I feel like sometimes we'll be at the game and it's like, oh, the fucking the mascot's like a little, he's like Barney the dinosaur. And I'm like, I do want to see some bad language at a sporting event.
Yeah.
I remember being at a game with my friend, and it was a Knicks game where like the nosebleeds, and he was just like, dude, I'm titty fucking this girl. And this woman next to us was like, do you mind? And I was like, that's fair.
That is fair.
She's with her kids. That's fair.
You titty fuck elsewhere.
Can you not? I was also at a Mets game once, and I just heard I heard the dad say, John Olerud strikes out look, and he goes, swing the bat, you fucking gay slur. And you're just like, all right. I mean, that's old New York, I guess.
Yeah, that's old New York. Yeah.
That ain't good. But,
I mean,
and he's got a kid with him too.
Right. And that's also, the guy really is just passionate about sports. I don't think he's a bad guy.
No, he's probably a great man.
Yeah. I don't think he's a terrible man. The worst was actually, my friend's dad was coaching in college for a while, so we would go to some college games. It was the other college students. Because they're just, you forget, you're out of college. It's just a kid who's fucking like 19, who's getting hammered for the first time in his life.
Right.
And now he's got like a cause. He's like, I'm a fucking Sun Devil or whatever. And, you know, he just is going to if he's near you, you're just like, we should just move sections or something.
That's my only issue with like the live football game is like no one's tailgating basketball games, right?
Yeah.
Like this is a full day. So you're like, that dude's had like 6 screwdrivers already.
Yeah.
7 beers, whatever. He's in the stadium. You can't pregame that hard for a sporting event. Like, look, I pregame. I'll fucking have a few drinks, but like we're adults now. Like that's like college age crazy drinking.
Yeah.
And it's too much for me to be around now. We were around drunks we didn't want to be around for years, just coming up in the clubs.
Yeah.
Where you're like, this is overwhelming.
Horrible.
I don't want to be a hostage.
It made me hate drunks so much.
I know.
Maybe hate anybody that can't handle their alcohol.
Me too. And I was drunk.
Yeah.
And I was a self-hating drunk.
Yeah.
But it was like, they were the worst.
And the thing I also found is that like a box seat, while so nice or whatever, it's like you don't feel like you're at the game anymore.
No.
It's too removed. So if like I've sat in the box and you're just like, oh, I should just be home.
I know.
You
Fuck
know?
that.
It's too removed.
It's awful. We got hooked up a few times for those like courtside Knicks tickets, and I remember one time Anthony DeVito and I are behind Tracy Morgan, which is like the greatest. That's the greatest person to sit behind.
1,000%.
He's screaming the whole game and it makes no fucking sense.
Yeah.
I remember Michael Beasley for the Knicks just having the game of his life. And Tracy Morgan just turns behind and looks at us and he goes, "Real animals eat meat." And we're like, I don't know what the fuck that means, but this is amazing. Like
That is such
Tracy Morgan, man.
Yeah.
And we're just like, yeah. It's so cool to just watch a game with Tracy Morgan.
You remember finger fucking on the handball courts? That's a Tracy line.
I watched him come out of the cellar once and Louis C.K. is walking right by him. And as they're walking by, Louis just gets off stage and Tracy goes, "I hope you left some meat on that pussy for me." And Louis is like, I most certainly left some meat on that pussy for you. Yeah, absolutely. No, Tracy is like, that dude's like one of the funniest humans ever.
Yeah. Just with his natural cadence and speech.
You can't. I watch old 30 Rocks. I'm like, this is like insane how funny you are. I heard right after the crash happened, when he was in that Walmart crash, I heard comics talking at the cellar table, and I just overheard Chris Rock go, people were like, "Is he going to be okay?" And Chris goes, "Of course he's going to be okay. It's not like Tracy's comedy relied on precision." It's the best description I've ever heard of Tracy.
That's true.
We were like, shit, yeah, he's going to be okay. And then I remember we were like, I hope Artie Fuqua, like, who we all love at the cellar. We're like, I hope he's not, he was in the crash too. I hope he didn't blow all his money on something dumb. And right as we say that, he rolls up in like a fucking Ferrari. We're like, oh, cool. All right. This will be gone soon.
He must have got paid.
Yeah. I think he did pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Tracy. I saw Tracy, so he was kind of off the scene for a good bit. And then when he was like, hey, he's back, I was doing one of those like amphitheater, 10 comic lineup shows. And I got driven there from the hotel in like a Suburban. And we pull around. I'm like, whose white Rolls Royce is that? With a driver in it. And then out steps Tracy in all white.
It's the driver from the Walmart crash. He's just sentenced to drive Tracy around now.
That's his fucking penance. He's in all white with the most massive gold chain and huge medallion on it. I'm like, are you performing in that? He's like, of course. And then, he sweat through that thing. So it looked like he was wearing, it looked like he came out of the ocean, It was just like stuck to his body. I was like, this is wild, dude. Yeah.
Oh,
and his set was insane.
Yeah, he's insane.
Yeah.
I love the people that would go see him on, when he was on SNL, expecting it to be like a clean show.
Oh, yeah.
And they're just like 2 minutes in, they're like, this is not for us.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like they're just there. He's like, when you get your ass eaten on a Tuesday, and you're like, what? And your man's drunk on the floor. You step over him. What's up, Kevin? Pick yourself up. And you're like, what the fuck? And they're like, we were expecting SNL shit.
Yeah, he's the best. I heard it was the same shit with JB, people who would expect him to be like Leon from Curb, and you're like, yeah, watch one of his fucking stand-up sets. That's not who he is.
That when I did you ever do Juniors in Erie?
No, but that was a clean club, right?
That was a clean club.
Never.
So
I tried to. That was like I had a list of clubs I would hit up, and they never got back to me.
So I first worked it as a feature.
Yeah.
And I remember my agent at the time was like, all right, you got it, whatever. It's like $100 a show. You got to work clean. And I'm like, he's like, you can do that, right? I'm like, yeah. It's like 20 minutes. I'm like, yeah. So I make it like a, almost like a challenge. and you're trying to like tweak words and, oh, don't do this bit, do that bit.
Just destroying your set.
Dude, yeah. And like as you arrive, by the way, like they pick you up from the airport. They're like, hey, it's clean, right? And you're like, yeah, my agent told me. And then they like drop you off at the hotel and they're like, don't forget, it's a clean set. And you're like, I got it. And then they pick you up and they're like, don't forget, you got to work clean. I'm like, what the fuck? How many times are you going to say this? And then, you first set, you do it and you're like,
the headline is Tracy Morgan, by the way.
Well, the funny thing is like, I got through it and they were like, all right, and like you did that, you're able to work clean. And I was like, hey, I don't recognize, this was at the time, I'm just middling. I'm like, I don't recognize anybody on your upcoming acts, I was like, why don't you get like some of the New York guys? And they're like who? And I started to list people, like Giraldo and Attell and, like just like all the guys that I know from New York. I'm like, and she was like, are they clean? And I was like, no. And she was like, oh, then I don't want them. And I was like, okay. So fast forward a couple years, now you're just trying to get the work you can get.
Yeah.
And I get the offer to go back there. And he's like, well, you'd have to do like 45 to an hour clean. You think you can do that? And I again look at it like as a challenge. And I'm like, okay, like book it. So I get there and they're like, all right, don't forget, you gotta be, I'm like, yeah, no, it's very clear. I know. So at one point, like after one of the shows, I get off stage and the lady's like, she's like, oh, the owner wants to see you in her office. I'm like, what's up? She's like, did you say penis? And I go, what? She's like, did you say penis on stage? And I go, yeah. I go, how do you know that? She's like, well, somebody told me. So she had like staff tattletaling. And I go,
has fucking snitches in there.
I go, penis is the anatomically correct term. She was like, fine. Like she let it go. And I'm like, all right. And then I'm sitting there with the other guy that works there. And I'm like, hey man, what is with the degree that you guys are doing this to, And he's like, that's just what she likes. It's what she likes, and it's just important to her, And then he tells me like a straight up street joke with the N-word in it. And I'm like,
oh my God.
I'm like, very cool. Does this work on stage? And I ask him, I'm like, have you ever had this, somebody not be able, like, have you ever had to like fire someone? He's like, oh yeah, what's that guy? JB Smoove?
Oh.
I go, what happened? He goes, well, we told him. And he was like, yeah, I get it. And like, and like they go through the whole thing, you know how to do it, right? He's like, I know how to do it. He goes, like 2 minutes in, he's like, motherfucker this, motherfucker that, motherfucker this. So he gets off stage and we're like, what the hell? And he's like, what? And they go, we said clean. He goes, how am I supposed to work, man? And they were just like, get out of here. They fired him. This episode is brought to you by Manscaped. The brand that took your balls to space is now launching them into the ultrasphere. Introducing the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra, featuring a new cutting-edge design and next-generation dual skin-safe blade heads for different shaves. Join the 9 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with the brand new Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra by going to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with the code BEARS. I like it smooth down there. I like everything to have its place, and the hair belongs not on my dong or my back. Every man knows how scary it can get when going for a close shave below the waist. That's why I trust Manscaped for all my sensitive areas. Manscaped's 5th generation trimmer features 2 next-gen interchangeable skin-safe blade heads, a standard trimmer blade for taking a little off the top, and a new foil blade to go for that smooth finish wherever your heart desires. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code BEARS at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code BEARS at manscaped.com. Your balls have been through enough. It's time to go ultra with Manscaped.
If you've got loved ones who depend on you, why leave anything up to chance? In a worst case scenario, life insurance gives your family a safety net that can cover expenses so they won't have to worry about money while getting back on their feet. Even if you've already have a life insurance policy through work, it may not offer enough protection for your family's needs, and it may not follow you if you leave your job. With Policy Genius, you can find life insurance policies that start at just $292 per year for $1 million of coverage. Some options offer same-day approval and avoid unnecessary medical exams. Policy Genius knows how valuable your time is. Their technology makes it easy to compare life insurance quotes from America's top insurers in just a few clicks to find your lowest price. Your loved ones deserve a financial safety net. You deserve a smarter way to find and buy it. Head to policygenius.com/2bears1cave or click the link in the description to get your free life insurance quote and see how much you could save. That's policygenius.com, the number 2 bears, the number 1 cave.
And the crowd is clearly hungry for like one curse. They could
just
give a fuck.
Yeah, they don't give a fuck. It's just like it was her mission to make it. You know what I mean? Like a personal mission.
I never got that. We've all done those like corporate gigs too. We'd like to like be clean.
Yeah.
And you're like, I got this. Yeah. And then a minute in, you're like bombing. You're like, fuck it. I'm doing my
yeah.
titty fuck chunk. Let's do this.
Yeah. I was titty fucking at a football game.
I had that happen the other night on stage. I'm at the Cellar and a woman, I did a bit about going down on a woman. It wasn't even like a dirty version. It was like a pretty clean version of that. And she stood up like, this is fucking disgusting. And I was like, I didn't actually do it in front of you. It's a joke.
Yeah.
I'm not just saying I ate a pussy. And she and her husband get up and give me the finger. And this is the best part is the husband tries to pull his pants down to moon me as they're getting kicked out. I'm like, you called my joke disgusting. You're trying to show me your old bare ass.
Yeah.
They were like in their 60s.
What?
Yeah, it was pretty gross.
Just for doing this bit?
They were yellow skin. I mean like tan from the sun, not Asian. I don't mean like that was, you know what I meant.
They're ill. They're actually sick.
Ill.
Yeah.
Like cirrhosis.
They're dying. Yeah.
But they were fucking trash bags. It was it's amazing. It's amazing the shit that the inconsistency that like that guy telling you an N-word joke and then he's like, you got to be clean
casually
on stage.
too. He wasn't like, I got something to He was like, hey, you want to hear a joke? I was like, okay. I was like, this is part of your make sure you stay clean speech. Cool. Yeah, such a fucking
people. Everyone's got their weird line.
Yeah,
you know, everyone's like, I feel like everyone, especially those comedy clubs starting out there, so many of them are awesome, and then so many have these like weird power trips where it's like run by some guy who like quit comedy and now hates comedy.
Yeah,
but owns a comedy club.
Sure. Yeah, the ones who like used to do comedy have the strangest and most strict lines. You know, like they're full of bitterness usually.
Yeah.
And then they're like, everything sucks. And then they have something that they like that doesn't really add up to you. But it's all based on the fact that they used to do it, you know?
Yeah, the clean shit I never got. I mean, that's like what I feel like comedy, that's the direction it's going in that scares me is now anytime you post a bit that's not clean, it just gets buried because all these, you know, social media apps are trying to just get ad sales.
Yeah.
So it's like you have this like social media robot that detects like, oh, this is a bad word.
Yeah.
Even if you're making fun of the bad word,
Yeah.
it just buries you now. So you're like, oh shit, this sucks for the next wave of comics who are trying to get discovered by, you know, circumventing this, you know, industry that won't give them a special out of the gate. And now they can't get their jokes out there for free if it's a darker joke and maybe they're a darker comic. And, and that sucks that they can't, because, you know, especially like Meta, all these ones are getting so fucking Instagram. They're getting
is nobody over there? I mean, they have to be on to the fact that the bots are out of control.
Out of control.
Why isn't that addressed? I don't mean, like, how is there not something way beyond my concept ability to describe where it can, you know what I mean, mitigate this thing where like you post something and it's like 50 things about like Sandra's wealth. Like, you know, I my life turned around when I met Sandra and it's fucking 50 times in the comments.
Or the same women who are like, I'm horny. I'm like, you're not fucking real.
Don't look at my page.
Yeah.
That's a big one. Don't look at my page.
My pussy's so wet right now.
So
it's under some guy announcing he has cancer. I have cancer. My pussy's so fucking, I'm squirting.
Don't go to my stories. It's so fucked.
It's stage 4. The doctor says I don't have a chance. I'm dripping. I'm dripping wet.
No, where were you last night?
I was just in San Antonio. I was in Texas.
Were you doing shows?
No, I was just hanging with a girl. I'm saying.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
dude.
I did a yoga class. It was brutal. Yeah. You know, it was crazy. Actually, at the end of the class, the instructor, you know what's crazy? You think you know people's lives, and then they say shit that's like, that blows you away. Like the instructor just goes, you know, it's a really hard day. It was like a regular class. And she goes, this is a hard day for me because I was a flight attendant on 9/11 and I was in the air during it. And we just kept circling and circling. and we didn't know it was going to happen. And I just hope you take this with you. And I was so ready for it to be like, fuck Islam.
Yeah.
But she was like, no, we have to stay together. And I was like, oh, that's better.
Damn.
But that's crazy, right?
Yeah.
You know, I think about that all the time now. It's like, by the way, whenever they do this at the end, I've been doing yoga lately because my neck's fucked up and it's like saving me. It's
And there's a
amazing.
girl that likes to do it.
Yeah. That helps.
That definitely helps.
But I've been going on my own as well because my neck is fucked up and it helps me. And dude, whenever they, I always think of like, you know, whenever they say, just let out whatever's bothering you right now. Yeah. I just picture the instructor just once being like, Jews. Jews are bothering me. I just think it's funny about like a racist, but also like centered Zen person.
And then who just like, and then says it and then just stays quiet and everyone's like looking around and you're like, guys.
Just once I want an instructor to be like, Biden eats babies. You guys good? We're good. But no, it's just letting it out. I feel better now.
Anybody else feeling that? Everyone's like, yeah, I don't like. They're bothering me too. Fuck it. Does the girl live down there?
Yeah, no, but in New York as well.
Oh,
both. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, you got a place there in New York.
How long you guys been seeing each other?
A few months.
All right.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
Yeah, I think it's good.
It's great.
Yeah, it's funny. She's got a dog, and this like dog is so fucking tiny. It's like a 16-year-old pug with like a hint of Chihuahua. It's the cuntiest dog you've ever seen. Dog was living on the street for like a while in LA.
Yeah.
It's got one eye.
Yeah.
But you know, she's crazy, and we're at the vet with the dog because she's so fucking old. Like she's got like 3 teeth. She tries to bite everybody. She's got 3 teeth left. Like she's bit me like 8 times. I'm like, it feels like a lick. It's sad.
Yeah.
When they think they're tough still.
Yeah.
They've got, But vets are like good people.
They are.
It's because if you're a vet, you get into that because you love animals.
Love them.
Doctors don't get into medicine because they love humans.
No, they're just thinking about I could probably have a really good career.
Or they're Asian.
Yeah. Yeah, and they don't want to disappoint their parents.
That's really what it is, right?
Yeah.
It's like money. But vets are like, I love animals.
Yeah. It's pretty awesome. Is she in comedy?
No, thank God. I can't.
Was she a fan?
No, I mean, she knew my comedy, but I wouldn't say like a fan.
Okay. I would think that's the best for realistic dating is someone not a fan.
It's awful.
Yeah.
That's terrible. You're only going to disappoint them. If you're starting here, you're only going, I mean, every relationship starts here. So you don't want to fucking be starting like here because now you're going down here.
Yeah.
No, it's fucking horrible.
No, because I've we all know guys who have been like seeing someone who was like a fan. I'm like, that's
creepy.
So weird.
Oh, I mean, how many comics do we know that are like mid-50s who their girlfriend's like 23?
Oh, we know a few.
A few. And they're like, I don't get how it didn't work out. And I'm like, really? You don't understand like the math? You don't understand that? You're like, no, they like guys my age. I'm like, yeah, for a minute.
Yeah, no.
That's not a fucking long-term solution.
Most of the times, girls that are 23 like guys that are around 23. Most of the time. That's what they're attracted to.
Usually, yeah.
Usually.
Sometimes they like older guys, but
Sure.
like, I just think it's like, it's not a good long-term game plan.
I don't think so. No. And I don't think I definitely, I think of all people that I know, I could not be with somebody who was like, big fan. I'd be like, don't even talk to me. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, you want them to not know who you are.
That's the best way.
Also, it's like not hot for someone to like you.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, it's something like, as a dude, don't you want to challenge? Don't you want to, I want to like work for it a little bit.
Sure.
That's a big reason I don't understand rap. Don't you think?
Lay it out for me.
Well, it's like Cosby's famous Andy's.
Yeah, I know.
Pick one.
No.
It should be like, if you can't get laid and you're famous.
But the thing, I think the thing about Cosby doing that is because people would go, couldn't you just get laid? Like you're that famous.
Of course.
And the answer is, of course.
But it's power.
The thrill was that he enjoyed raping people that were asleep.
Of course.
So that's what was
But
fun.
it feels darker to me when you're doing that and you're famous and rich and powerful.
Of course.
I guess also because you can cover it up and it seems super more villainous, you know?
Yeah.
When you can get away with it.
Right, because that was the other thing. And then he also would do the thing where he would then posture as the like, you need to really live your life a certain way.
And a clean comedian.
Clean.
He would have killed it fucking Junior's
Oh,
last
he would have
laugh.
absolutely, they would have been like, oh, we fucking added 15 shows.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so crazy.
15 shows, 14 allegations tour. He took one off. He's tired.
Dude,
No,
yeah.
he takes, that's the thing. It's like they don't care. It's always the clean comics.
The clean comics are the scariest.
They're the scariest.
Yeah, because
It's
there's
the same type of dude you meet who's just like, hey, buddy.
Yeah, those
Those types of dudes who
Yeah.
are like too friendly.
they're always wearing loud shirts. Like, what's with all the color, man? Why don't you fucking dial it down a little bit?
If you're Reagan, you shouldn't be peacocking.
yeah, it's
You should
fucking-
be like
it's a
in
lot
black.
of purple, man.
Quiet, yeah.
Yeah, here's the thing: the clean comics, no matter what, are hiding something. I always feel like when people are like, this filthy comic, I'm like, that guy is so much sweeter than
Yeah.
Like that stuff he does on stage, it's crazy and like dirty and whatever. But like the real guy, he's putting it out there. In other words, like all the demons are coming out.
Yeah.
But like the guy who's just talking about like fucking cookies and like.
I know.
Breakfast, you're like, I don't know about this dude. Like, this
You guys like Gogurt? That guy's
that guy is so scary.
Yeah, there's something I remember. I've had women they give me shit about like doing certain bits. I remember I've had like bits where they're like, you do that bit, and I'm like, yeah, but I'm nice to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
It's a performance though too. Like even like when if you're like whatever you're saying, however crazy it is, it's like you're still on stage doing a thing.
dude, I think about that all the time. Like people get mad. I got so many fucking nasty tweets over like a 9/11 joke, and I'm like, yeah, motherfucker, I was in the city that day. I got in line to donate blood. You think I fucking think 9/11 was funny? I'm gonna make jokes about it.
Yeah.
You make jokes about anything, you know? So I hate this idea that like because someone won't joke about something and you will, that you don't care about it. You know, maybe I care even more about it, and that's why I'm making jokes about it. And also I think like just because we can agree on stuff, but maybe we have a different idea on what's funny versus what can't be funny. Comedians will make anything funny.
The weirdest is, have you ever met or heard from a comedian that is vocal about that's not funny? Like that's not something to joke
Oh,
about?
they're traitors.
There's a few that come to mind immediately where I'm like,
Do better. Do
they're-
better, Mr. Comedian.
they're like, and they speak up. I've seen them speak up.
Say,
They're
yeah.
like, this was not okay to joke. And you're like, huh?
Or the ones who are like narcs and they're like trying to like bust you.
Yeah.
The ones who are like, we see what you're doing.
Yeah.
And you're like, dude, yeah, they're jokes. This is called touring and working on our acts. This is, I don't get it. But it's, thank God. That's the thing about Twitter, all those apps or whatever is, you will leak into people's timelines who are like, I fucking hate you. And that's cool. That means you're actually reaching people. So that's good. It is like a comedy club where like they're just opening the door and being like, fuck you. And you're like, okay, that would be weird, right?
That's weird, yeah.
So, but you're right. When it's comics, it feels like it's like a dude wearing a wire or something.
Yeah.
And you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's strange. It's very strange. Do you constantly search for meaningful gifts that your loved ones will actually use and love? I know sometimes it can be really hard to find the perfect gift for my family members, but memories and pictures of the kids are never a bad idea. The Skylight Frame is a touchscreen digital picture frame that you can send photos to straight from your phone, and they appear in seconds. You can effortlessly send photos from photo to frame with the free Skylight app or unique email. Photos are displayed in HD resolution. It looks like a real photo frame. You set it up in portrait or landscape. Gift mode makes it a very meaningful, personalized gift. You can preload it with memories without opening the box. Surprise them with old sentimental photos as soon as it's plugged in. As a special limited time offer for our listeners, get $15 off your purchase of a Skylight Frame when you go to skylightframe.com/bears. To get $15 off your purchase of a Skylight Frame, just go to skylightframe.com/bears. That's skylightframe.com/bears.
Because I remember I got in trouble over a joke, and I remember a comic I knew writing something kind of trashing me, being like, oh shit, like I'll never forget that. Like I'll be cool to you, but I'll never forget. I'll never be cool with you.
Yeah.
I'll be like pleasant to you, but I'll never like you.
Yeah, of course.
Because I know that you'll go whichever way is like the tide is turning.
Do you have something where like you go, when you think about it, you go, I guess I don't joke about that. Like it's like your own personal line.
I don't think so, because I think maybe the only way I would go that way with a line is if it's if it's so recent that I'm emotional about it and it's not funny yet, but I think it'll be funny in a couple weeks. So I think for me, the only way it's like, oh, if I care too much about something, I feel like it's reading that way on stage and it's not funny enough yet. It's like too raw. So, you know, you have a breakup or something. Sometimes the jokes that you find funny are so dark that they're not translated and the crowd just like, oh, and you're like, that's not fucking helping, you know? So I think sometimes you need like,
that's a good point.
a couple months. You need distance.
Yeah.
For you to see it the way they see it.
I've reacted negatively to watching something if it's super you know what I mean? Like day of, you know, like I'm like, ugh. Like I'm saying as a spectator, as a consumer, and also I've so many times done the thing where I think this is funny and the audience is like, you're like, oh,
but that's great that you go for it. I think that if you don't, the day you stop going for it that's it. People don't understand. Like, what else am I going to get a rush out of?
It's the biggest rush.
It's like, okay, it's either that or I'm fucking doing blow after the show in a fucking Motel 6 or something. You know what I mean? Like I need for me, the rush is I'm going to try this fucked up joke. And if it works, oh my God, I got them to laugh at something horrible. And that's like unifying in a weird way, especially when the country's so divided. If we can come together and laugh on a fucking despicable subject, it's like weirdly bringing a room of people together.
There's nothing more exciting.
Yeah.
The thrill of something new. New is always like so exciting. Be fucked up and new, like if it's dark. And then when you get someone to reluctantly laugh, like someone doesn't want to laugh and you can tell that they're like shaking their head and then they start laughing, you're like, this is like the biggest rush of all.
That's what got me into comedy.
Yeah.
I remember listening to Chris Rock's album Roll with the New and like so many fucked up premises that he just murders the punchline on. And my mom sees me laughing and she grabbed my headphones to see, because I was a kid.
Yeah.
And she puts the headphones on and I just see this look of horror on her face, like followed by her laughing. I was like, that's fucking beautiful that a joke can do that.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, dude, I remember I did a joke, I think it was like a day or two after the Boston bombing. And of course I was like furious when I saw that shit. Like I have family in Boston. I love Boston. And I remember I said something like, it was like the biggest pop I've gotten. It's not even a great joke, but it was just so fucking fresh.
Fresh,
And
yeah.
I think they heard me go into it and the crowd was like, fuck this shit.
Yeah.
But I said, man, that made me sad when I saw that because my first thought was me and my brother, we don't do anything together anymore, you know? And that fucking crushed.
Yeah.
Although I'll tell you, certain jokes this is fucked up. So I told you I've been doing yoga on the road.
Yeah.
I did a class with Gary Veter, who opens for me, James Webb, who films for me on the road, and Brian, who's my manager on the road. And we decided to do a yoga class. It's like a hot yoga class in Baltimore. And we're like 30 minutes in. I can't believe this is a fucking true story. This is so stupid. But we're like 30 minutes in. We're dying. It's a hot class. And the instructor goes, I see we have a comedian in the class. And I'm just like, fuck, this is bad. And she goes, does he want to tell us a joke? And I'm like, I'm in like a pose right now. This is horrible. So I like look to Brian, like, I don't know what to do here. And he gives me a look like, I got this, which I'm like, I don't know what the fuck he's going to do. But he goes, I'll tell a joke. And the whole room is like, what the fuck? I'm like, we're looking like, what's he gonna do? And he tells my joke. It's an old joke of mine where he goes, my friend's girlfriend just had a miscarriage in the shower. And I was like, oh my God, worst baby shower ever. He tells us to a room full of women and it is fucking silence. And the instructor just says, well, I'm triggered. And I was like, yeah, that joke usually fucking kills. I'm upset. When I tell that joke, it does well. I'm upset too. And I turned after the class. I was like, dude, what the fuck? He goes, it's your joke. I go, I don't open with it, dude.
Yeah.
You got to earn those jokes. Those are dark jokes.
Yeah, that's like once they trust you and they're
Yeah,
like,
dude. No, that was brutal. And I give him shit about that.
That's it's hilarious that that's the story though.
Dude, it's fucking, he's got balls. It's good to have a person on the road with you who's got fucking balls.
Yeah.
He'll do whatever.
Yeah, that's the best to have
There
with
was
you.
60 more minutes in that class.
There was not like an exchange of phone numbers between people after that.
No, one black dude laughed, but it was like 14 other women who were just like, I
gave you
hate
like
all of you.
One of those, he liked it.
But it was like 14 other women who were like, you suck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fucking brutal.
Yeah.
Are you, I don't remember if I asked you this before. Are you like a pen to paper guy? Do you write them out?
No, I yes and no. I mean, I'll do like, I'll write jokes, in like a Word doc, but then like it changes. You know how it is. I mean, you do so many long bits that you can't be pen to paper.
No.
I mean, but I think.
But if something is not working, the thing that I found that helps it is writing something down. You know what I mean? Like if you're telling us, like you have a long bit, like a long story, and there are obviously jokes within the story. If there's like this one, you're like, this just isn't landing. Writing down like an alternate is, I think, sometimes how you find a better one. You know?
That's a good point. You have that joke about your dad in the military.
Yeah.
Was that pen to paper?
No.
That one feels pen to paper to me.
Really?
Well, it's just kind of like a perfectly crafted joke.
Like,
but I guess that's what you want. I mean, you want to think that joke because that's like crazy that could just be like a thing you say.
Yeah, I remember that was that you're talking about, like when how he was not sharing about war.
That's
like,
such a fucking great turn at the end.
Yeah. He and that was, that was just like real life. Like
that's a gift when you get when it just happens and you're like, that's insane that you just said that.
Yeah, it was insane. And then, he lived for another 3 or 4 years, no, 5 years or so, 5-6 years after that bit. I mean, it just went up from there. The talking about war and the atrocities, and like as casual as could be about
That's
it.
insane. That's insane that's your dad. Like, what a different life you have.
Well, the thing that I realized later was that I had zero appreciation because he was like such a put together, like, seemingly normal, well-adjusted person, polite and loving and all this stuff. I had zero appreciation for how traumatized he definitely was from war. And it made me realize that there's no such thing as somebody who sees combat and isn't traumatized. Even the ones who say, I happen to not be traumatized, it's just manifesting itself differently through that. So the person who's just like, yeah, I'm fine, they're not fine. Like, you can't, the only person who would be like literally fine would be and there are these people are like definite like psychopaths who are,
who aren't fine though.
Well, yeah, but theirs is like, how they're kind of designed. But anybody who's not that way, I think if you experience the atrocities of like, people dying next to you, you're killing people, like there's no way you're just like back to business. I'm fine. He was fucked up over it. And I think he didn't even have an awareness of that until like the end of his life.
Because I don't think his generation would talk about it. I think
it's a big
his
thing.
Generation didn't talk about it enough, and our generation talks about everything too much. And there needs to be some sort of middle ground, but I don't understand. I mean, I feel like everyone back in the day, it was like writers and athletes are served, like Ted Williams and J.D. Salinger served.
Yeah, everybody did.
Isn't that crazy to think about? I guess like Pat Tillman served, but like think about like the best baseball. Think about like, well, hopefully not Ohtani because he's not on our side, but he'd crush us.
Did you ever think about joining the military?
No.
No, I know. It's like this thing where...
Are you kidding me?
I know, but I mean, like, I had a,
By the way, I'm not helping us.
No.
No, unless you need another guy complaining in the trenches.
These shoes are tight.
I'm like, this is the weather? Really? You don't hear a lot about a lot of badass Jewish soldiers, unless they're like Israeli.
Yeah, the Israeli guys.
Israeli Jews are different than like New York Jews. No, I'm from like the school of Woody Allen. This is bullshit. Where's my analyst Jews?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not throwing down.
Maybe you could go into intelligence then, I here's the thing though, that generation, like my dad's, like it was the era of the draft.
Yeah.
And he just was like, draft. He just went down there and signed up. Like,
yeah.
And then when I was in high school, there was no even conversation about joining the military. Like it wasn't even thought of. And people, they could say whatever you want. Like, yeah, you're a pussy or whatever. Like I never even entertained it. I was like, military. Why would I go to the military? Like,
yeah, no, I respect people that do that like crazy, but but it's not something that I can't imagine. I mean, I can't imagine the shit your dad saw. I mean, I think about like how fucked up people came back. You even hear like, that's all, by the way, like I think Ted Williams, like he was like a fighter pilot with a shitload of medals. Then he bat like fucking close to 400 before and after.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's really crazy.
That it works out for you.
Yeah.
Because then you also have like, there's fucking amazing people who just didn't come back. Think about how many people died in World War II.
Oh my God. Yeah, that was the thing. I didn't. My dad never told me until he was like much older that the thing that affected him the most was thinking about the guys in his platoon who died. He'd never said this. Then he was like, "Yeah, I think about them every day." I was like, "What?" He goes, "Every day." I was like, why would I know that? You know, unless you say it. He was like, "Yeah, the guys that like died next to you." I was like, "Fuck, I'd never considered that because it was never a conversation." You know.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Yeah, I thought about it every day." Fuck.
Well, you think about who your comedy boys are. I mean, like, and the bonding you must do. If you're putting your life on the line, those are your boys for life,
forever,
no matter what. I can't imagine. So think about your comedy buddies and how deep the bond is from just the comedy shit you've gone through,
Right.
which can't even, I feel, must pale in comparison.
Sure.
But like open mics with people, you're like, that's my fucking dude. Like,
Yeah,
those
forever.
are my friends forever. Because you see each other weak and you see each other get strong. It's like fucking cool. But
Yeah, you're in the trenches, like the literal, the metaphorical trenches.
metaphorical,
Yeah.
There's no more trenches anymore, right? I
No.
feel like that's like World War One.
Yeah, that's true.
But that's how we still say it.
Well, now
Now it's just a term.
the tech is too advanced.
Yeah.
It's to the point where
How much would it suck to get killed by a drone?
the worst.
I mean, it's like getting shot in the back sucks, but killed by a fucking drone?
Yeah.
Some fucking nerd is just like,
In
pew, pew,
Nevada,
pew.
is
Yeah.
fucking killing you in the Middle East, and he's just like, "Oh, time for lunch." He gets up, and you're like, "Fuck." Yeah, you have no idea.
Yeah, the war injuries for those dudes, they just like trip over a router.
Yeah.
That's like, he's
Yeah.
like, you see this scar? I tripped on a fucking Wi-Fi equipment. Yeah.
That's so fucked
Just
up.
nerds.
It's so fucked up, but it's true. Yeah. Yeah, there's still combat, obviously, but the technology is just so advanced now.
I just can't imagine the shit my heart goes out to those people that serve, because that's like the bravest shit ever. I mean, I'm way too big a pussy.
I just spent time with like a bunch of military people at a naval base in Pensacola. It's so, when you're around them, like in the environment, because you see somebody in uniform at a coffee shop, at the airport, you see it and you're like, oh, that's cool, whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe you say something to them. But when you're on a base and you see like how professional and like, like just how everybody works as a unit, you're like, oh fuck, these guys are like the real deal. It's rad.
It is cool.
It's cool. It's really cool. They took me up in an F-18 fighter jet. I
I saw those pictures you posted. I was wondering what that was. I was like, this dude's in fucking Top Gun 2 or something.
They took me up in an F-18.
Were you nervous at all?
I was excited. I was
Yeah.
excited. I mean, they prep you for throwing up and for passing out, because they're like, you're going to do the maneuvers they do during the Blue Angels show, right? Except you're flying solo with one. And they're like, people throw up, don't feel bad. And you're like, here's like bags in case you throw up. And you're like, all right. And then they prep you for passing out because like you pull so many you know what I mean? Like the G-force is just intense. So they're like, people pass out all the time.
Yeah.
Here's how to prep for it. So it's all about your lower body clenching. So you flex your calves, your glutes, and your quads.
You don't realize how fucking in shape you have to be to do this shit.
guys are
Same with like Formula One
super-
guys. You don't
yeah.
realize, like, you see them train and you're like, that's insane. Where
Oh,
you
yeah.
have to, the way you
their
have to
necks,
and
all
you have
their
to
necks are like out here.
They
It's
must
all
be
G-force
they must
stuff.
be awesome at eating pussy. Those
Oh, my
guys.
God.
They never. I get tight down there. I'm down there. But those guys,
those guys know how to
they know
do
how
it.
to eat a pussy.
They really do.
Yeah.
And then these guys too, they do that hick maneuver. That's what
Yeah.
they call it, to how to breathe. So like your lower body's totally engaged.
Yeah.
And then you take your breath in, you count to 3, and then you go. So that's how you try to stay conscious when the G-force gets way up there.
shit.
So their lower body's engaged, and you're doing this. They each have like their own way of doing it, but it's basically what I did, like out in quick, and then you maintain like 3/4 of. You don't want all the air out, and then you want all the air in. So it's this. But these dudes are doing maneuvers as they're doing this, and you're just in the back of this thing, and they're like, all right, we're going to do this fucking like 6 barrel rolls into a inverted thing, and we're going to pull 7.5 Gs. And you're like, all right. And they're like, ready. And you're like, you're just like holding on. And then you feel your vision go black, and you're like, and then they're like, all right, we're out of it. And you're like, holy fuck. And they're like, there's only 45 minutes left. Like, oh my God. Like,
And Tom Cruise made everyone do this shit just to be in that movie.
Just to be in that movie, yeah, for sure. It's fucking intense. Flying up, we went Mach 1.25, which is 950 miles an hour on the ground.
Oh my God, fuck that.
Yeah, dude.
That sounds awful.
Oh, it's fucking awesome.
Really?
Yeah. It was that part actually. You don't really realize it. Like you don't sense that you're going that fast. You're up in the sky. You're passing through clouds. That's the only thing that kind of gives it away is how fast you're passing through clouds. But you don't feel anything when you go from like 0.91 Mach to 1.2. You're just like, oh. What you really feel are when they do maneuvers and they're like, we're gonna pull 6 Gs. And you're like, oh fuck, and they fucking barrel around, and you just feel your vision go black. Yeah, that shit is intense.
Dude, I get scared on commercial flights.
This thing would fucking scare the shit out of you.
It would scare me. Dude,
Yeah.
I was, fuck, you heard about that diarrhea woman on that flight?
Diarrhea woman?
Yeah, they had to turn a plane around because this woman had diarrhea on a plane and she was just shitting everywhere.
On a commercial
you
flight?
Guys, yeah, you must have the link to that shit. I think they went down in Sydney or something. But
What?
Yeah, they had to reroute it because she was shitting so badly.
Was she shitting in the seats?
I don't know. I think so. She must have. It must have leaked or something. It was like, I think it was, a woman. It was Margaret Cho. Shit. No.
Oh my God.
Severe case of diarrhea, yeah.
A flight from Atlanta to Barcelona. Oh, that's a long flight. Returned to the airport after the incident was deemed a biohazard issue. Holy fuck. I threw up and shit the entire way from LA to Minneapolis. The only time I ever canceled a weekend. It was a connecting flight. I was supposed to go to Virginia Beach. And from when when they shut the door, I was like, I think I'm sick. You know, one of those things?
Yeah.
And then from takeoff to landing, throwing up and shitting.
Well, the problem is we always feel like shit, just our schedule. So it's hard to tell when you're sick.
Then,
You're like, am I just being a bitch?
Yeah.
Or am I sick?
Is this just early and I feel nauseous, or am
Yeah.
I sick? So let's see what it says. An audio clip of the pilot's emergency call to dispatchers was shared on social media. This is a biohazard issue, the pilot said. You know, we've had a passenger who had diarrhea all the way through the airplane. So they want us to come back to Atlanta. I don't understand. My partner was on that flight. It was pretty bad. It was dribbled down the aisle, smelled horrible. The vanilla scented disinfectant used on only made it smell like vanilla scented shit. After the plane landed, it was thoroughly cleaned. So this person, how did this person shit in the aisles?
I don't get it. Yeah. But clearly it happened.
The mid-flight incident comes after a flight from Miami to Chile was this is a different incident where after its pilot died mid-flight.
What would you rather have, a dead pilot or a shit-smelling plane? That's a fair question.
I think a dead pilot.
Me too, because there's two pilots.
Yeah, that guy can handle it. That's why you have him.
By the way, though, he probably shits too.
Yeah, he does.
But not as bad.
No. Diarrhea in the aisles? Come on, man. Come on.
It was Delta?
Yeah.
I'm getting some points from that flight. That's crazy.
You have to reimburse people for that.
I wonder how many points you get, because I definitely would. I fought hard on that shit before.
You fought for stuff?
Yeah, I missed.
Is Delta your go-to?
I usually Delta is. I think that. I mean,
Everybody.
look,
Here's the thing.
they all
about,
fuck us.
Yeah, and there's people who swear they're like it's American and you're like, dude, you can have good and bad experiences on all the airlines, not on Spirit, but like on the big carriers, you're gonna have good and bad experiences. You know.
Yeah, well, Delta, I've been fucked by all of them, but American fucked me the hardest. I think it was last time I did your podcast, actually.
Really?
It was, because I was flying from Austin to Vermont, and I had to connect in Philly. And I knew I was missing the fucking flight. I hold the flight up to her, and I'm like, I'm missing this. And she was like, you're going to make it. And I was like, I see on my phone I'm not going to make it. And she was like, trust me. And I was like, all right. So we land, and it said, we were like, I think in Philly, it was like, we landed like gate B2, and my connection was F32.
Yeah.
And I just showed her on my phone, and she was like, run. And I was like, oh, this is like insane. They say run. I've had multiple times they go, run. And I'm like, I have two fucking checked bags, dude.
Yeah.
And I got there and she fucking closed the door. It was one of those close the door in your face moments where you're like, dude, come on.
Come on.
And they're like, no, the door's shut. So they gave me, I was shit-faced on the flight. I got into the next flight and it was getting into Vermont at like 10:30. So I missed the show, but I was fucking wasted. on the Connect flight because I was so cranky. I was like a middle seat last row, which is all they had, so I'm fucking bombed. And I was tweeting at American Airlines like, thanks for calling me Jew boy, fuckers. Like I was just making shit up because I was so drunk. And they tweeted back, we've decided to give you 7,500 points. And then I wrote back, I was so drunk. I was like, you fucking anti-Semites. And they were like, we've decided to give you an additional 7,500 points. And I just picture like N-word, they're like 25,000.
Yeah, they have different tiers.
But Jew boy, they're like, we have to start low because he'll haggle with us. So he has to.
Dude.
Yeah.
By the way, it's a great tactic if
Yeah.
you're one of the airline people and someone goes, I'm not going to make it, be like, you're going to be all right.
You're going to be all right.
That's what I would say to everybody.
They're off the hook the second I'm off the flight.
Yeah.
No, I was so angry.
You're definitely going to make it.
But then once you know when you're like that angry and then you just are like, it's a show.
Yeah.
Does this really affect, like I end up staying an extra night to make up the show.
Yeah.
But like, you have to remember, you're like, is this really going to change my life? You're just trained in comedy to be like, I'm going to fucking,
Dude,
I miss it.
When I tell you how sick, I was so sick that, literally the flight from LA to Minneapolis was, I would go to the bathroom, either shit, vomit, or both, go back to the seat, I'm sweating. The people next to me are like, I'd be like, ugh, and then I get up the whole flight. And I still was hesitant to tell my agent. I was like, I can't do that because I didn't want to be, come down on like, what you're canceling the show, right?
Because we're trained. I at least am remembering when I had like these awful. I love my agent now, but I remember having agents back in the day where they're like, they don't give a fuck about you.
Well, yeah. The funny thing was like I'd done shows sick. I'd done shows with like the flu.
You have to. At least coming up.
1,000%.
Yeah.
And I still, when I said it, it wasn't like, I don't remember it being like, are you okay? It was like, all right.
No, same. That's what happened to me.
And the club was like, oh, really?
Yeah.
You're sick? And I'm like, wait, but why? Like, of my track record, why would I
know.
make this up? And then they didn't like believe it.
I know.
And I went to a hotel. Like I landed in Minneapolis, went to like like the airport hotel just to be sick. I was like, I can't get on a plane.
Yeah.
Just to be sick there. And I just spent a day there just being sick.
Week.
It was horrible.
Dude, I remember it's funny you said Minneapolis because I remember being a young comic and then my agents being like, we got you a headlining week in a House of Comedy. I was like, oh shit. Like we had a dropout. I was like, cool, man. And I was like, wait, House of Comedy Minneapolis? He was like, yeah. I was like, the one that Al-Shabaab threatened to shoot up this weekend? You had a dropout there? They're like, that's not a big story. I shit you not. I go to the front page of CNN. Al-Shabaab threatens to shoot up Mall of America. And I was like, I just sent it to him and they're just like, it's going to be fine. And I remember calling Joe List, like, should I do this? And he was like, if you get shot, you're the dumbest comedian of all time.
Did you do it?
I didn't do it. And they were like pretty pissed at me for not taking a Fallout weekend on like a Wednesday. But then I did.
Like that was associated with like a terrorist threat?
Yeah. I just felt like I'd been in New York for 9/11. I'd been in New Orleans for Katrina. I felt like I'm like, I can't keep
You were
risking
there
it.
for Katrina?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Were you living there?
No, I was a freshman at Tulane, so I ended up leaving before, like it was coming and I left. I evacuated.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. No, I wasn't there when it was like coming, but
Did you go back?
I went back for a year and a half.
How long between evacuating and going back though?
A semester.
Like a semester away?
Yeah.
Wow. Was the school shut down for a semester?
Yeah,
Oh,
it was underwater.
Wow.
I mean, that whole fucking city, man.
Yeah.
But I love New Orleans. That's like one of my favorite
I remember
cities.
bombing so hard with a Katrina joke in like the month after.
Yeah?
Yeah, so hard. And I was doing it as an opener. You know, you have to earn these jokes.
Yeah.
I was doing it as an opener, as a middle, and it fucking set me up for like deaths. Like I was trying it, and it was like about how there was there was stories about that people were being raped in the aftermath.
I really love what this.
Yeah.
You're doing a Katrina rape joke.
Yeah, that was my joke. I was like, there's like people are being raped, like in New Orleans, and I go, nothing turns me on like seeing a dead body float by. I'm like, man, my dick's hard right now. And like I would do that to like a sold out show, and then everyone was like, and the thing was, what I found was that at the time I had a pretty bulletproof 20-minute feature set.
Sure.
I couldn't put it together. Like it wouldn't work after that. And I did it twice.
That's amazing.
Bombed so hard. Both sets. Like it was like a Friday night, early late show. And I was with Kreischer. I was opening for him.
Wow.
And the next day I was, because I was like shell shocked from bombing that hard. It was so bad. He goes, "Can I give you one piece of advice?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Just open differently." And I go,
Yeah,
okay.
not a good opener.
I know. It was so fucking.
That's amazing.
And I did.
But you have balls for doing it. No, but that's the thing is like, for going for it. By the way, going for it twice.
I know.
That's pretty cool though that you did
Even
that.
the MC was like, "I've never seen someone eat shit that hard."
I know, but that's your style is kind of pushing it. So that's, you have to find that.
You have to figure it out.
I think that's cool that you did that. I remember Giraldo had the fucking funniest Katrina joke about like how many times he's blacked out in New Orleans, and he's like, I can only imagine being one of those people that came to like, what the fuck did I do last night?
Yeah,
was I near a dam?
That's very funny.
Damn, he had some great Katrina jokes.
He had so many great bits.
Yeah, he was one of my favorite comics ever.
I wasn't even, there's people who I guess gravitate towards or don't when it comes to the roasts. Like I was never like, "Oh my God, I love the roasts." But there was kind of an era where you just like, I have to watch this. This is like the big thing happening. But when I would watch his sets, I was like, this is fantastic.
It was like artful. He was man, and Jesse Joyce would like collaborate with those on him. And Jesse's such a good roast joke writer. And them together was like,
yeah.
And Greg was like, so even like that Larry the Cable Guy one, the way he just was so angry, I was like, this is like fucking, I've never seen this passionate a roast set.
Really? I don't remember that.
Oh, he was so like fucking furious at Larry's success. It was so funny. And then, oh man, his Joan Rivers set, all his sets were so, what I loved what he would do at roast is that he would like say something really nice at the end and then shit on them again. Like you think you're getting that ending after that beautiful, oh, I just destroyed you for 7-8 minutes.
Yeah.
And then like, but seriously, you're the best. And then he would say something else. like
awful. Yeah.
It was something like with Joan Rivers. He was like, but seriously, you're like an icon. You're the best. And something about like titty fucking a crocodile. You're like, Jesus Christ. Like I thought you think you're out, but it's like one more punch.
One more punch. Yeah. Yeah, he was relentless, and so smart, and like, I mean, I definitely was like idolizing that guy in that era.
I totally relate to you trying out insanely offensive jokes and bombing. I remember doing that in front of Marin, and like must have been, I think it was like Rooster T. Feathers in like 2010 or something, and I was featuring for Mark Maron, and I tried one, I forgot the joke even, but it bombed so fucking hard. And after the show, I was explaining to Mark, like I was so young and dumb, I'm like, well, I thought this would do it, and Mark goes, I know what you were doing.
Yeah.
Like that's all he just be like, shut the fuck up, Sam.
I remember I was doing such a shitty room in Atlantic City, and I was middling. And the headliner was this guy that looked like he fucking, I don't know, man, like changed transmissions or something. I was like, you're a comic? I used to, like one of those.
Where in AC? Do you remember?
It was such a shit, it was one of the clubs that was in.
The Tropicana one?
Maybe the Trop one.
That guy stiffed me on money.
That guy was something else. That guy.
He ditched town.
He like seemed like a real life, what was the Will Ferrell character in San Diego, like,
Anchorman?
Yeah, like this guy was like sitting at the bar with a drink. He's like, "Did you bring your headshot?" And I was like, "My headshot? Like who travels with their headshots?" And he was like, "You got to bring headshots, otherwise we don't have a headshot to put." And I was like,
"I hope someone headshots this motherfucker."
It was just ridiculous. Owes me money. But so the headliner, he was like, "Yeah, I don't really do it much." I was like, "How are you doing this?" He's like, I'm friends with the owner, and I just do this to come play poker. I don't give a fuck about the show." And I was like, okay.
You'd get those.
And then I would do my middle set, and then this guy, he would end on this like a magic trick with a newspaper. So he would fold up the paper and do like some crazy magic trick. And then I would see him in the casino, and he'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna go play poker. And then I would see him the next day, and he was like, yeah, I was up till like 5 a.m. playing poker. And I was like, how you doing? He's like, not fucking good, okay? And I was like, all right. And we're doing these shows, and I think we're doing like the 7th show of the week, and there's a bunch of old ladies out there. And I remember him going, you see the old ladies out there? And I go, yeah. He goes, what does that tell you? And I go, I don't know. He goes, maybe don't do your shitting on a glass coffee table bit. And I was like, okay. He was like right back to his stuff, and I was like, yeah, good call, man. He was like, I mean, I don't think he gave two shits.
There's something so depressing about AC too. I remember two AC stories that come to mind. First, one of them is that room. It's 3 headliner show, right? So you're all splitting it.
Right, yeah.
One guy who is just a degenerate gambler there with me on the show. He's gambling not only in the casino after the shows, but he's on his phone the whole fucking time doing sports betting. And it's like baseball regular season games. And the whole show, not only are we all bombing, but he's on his phone and goes, can't catch a fucking break. Can't catch a fucking break. That's the whole show. And I remember staying in the condo, and I just remember like stumbling back, pissed drunk. I was drinking at Tony Baltimore Grill, which is, I love that spot. It's like rum and coke, like this big for $6. It was the best. But you just walk into that shitty condo, pissed drunk, and I remember seeing a cockroach stomping it, and then just passing out on the bed. And I was like, "Fuck, this is a sad weekend."
There's so many sad. Those first time you do Vegas, Atlantic City. Yeah, there's this thing where you go, Reno, because the thing is you're so excited to get work, and they pay you just a little bit more than a club at the time for your level does. So you're like, oh, this is more money. But then you don't really calculate that. You're like, all I have to do is spend Monday through Sunday there. Do like one show Monday, one show Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
And in your head, you're like, I'm doing so many shows, I'll get better at comedy.
Yeah, this is just great.
Yeah.
And then, some of those places, the show is at 10. So what happens is your day is just like you wake up and you have like 14 hours of like, hey, you look up, maybe you notes or something, you eat breakfast, you walk around, and then you're like, well, I shouldn't spend money because I don't want to spend money at the place that's giving me the money, but there's really nothing to do.
Yeah.
And there's nowhere to go. Just like walk around this casino. And, third, fourth day of that, you're like, man, I would get like really depressed in those. Really,
because you're not going outside. I remember like Reno, I was like, I should see what's going on outside. It's just like meth people walking by. You're like, I'll stay in the casino. Yeah. But I remember AC one night, I was opening for Dave Attell there. It was like years ago. And we get in at like 3:30 a.m. from another city. And he's like, what do you want to do? And I was like, I was going to go to bed. He's like, let's gamble. I was like, all right. So 3:30 a.m. we're gambling. And we're both just fucking crushing. And it's hilarious that none of these people know that this is Dave Attell. This is like a comedy Jedi.
Yeah.
And he's killing at the table. Like he's making all these jokes. He's shitting on strangers, smoking cigarettes. Just one guy yells at me, you got to hit there. And Dave goes, thanks, professor. Just shitting on dudes. We're dying. And before we know, we're up like a lot of money, both of us. So we're just like on. And he's like, I didn't know you had it in you, kid. He's just like shitting on me. And, I remember just going out. It was like one of those weird things where you feel like, holy shit, I never get a W at these casinos. And we just walk outside 7:30 a.m. He lights a cigarette. And I'm like, I feel like we just did a heist or something.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
AC, I had no concept of because I didn't grow up in that area. And I remember it's Atlantic City. And they drop you off at a place that's on the boardwalk. And you're like, this is pretty cool.
The boardwalk is cool.
Right away, there people at the casino are like, hey, not to leave this area, right? And you're like, what? And they're like, this is a really rough city.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, really? And then you get in a car, someone drives you in, you're like, oh, shit. AC is no joke.
Oh, dude, I remember going to a pharmacy trying to get something. I was trying to get, but there's a line of people. I'm like, these are opioid people.
Yeah.
This is sad. This is bad.
Bad.
I mean, that city is it's weird. I have a weird love of AC, but man, I remember my brother did his bachelor party there. But this is AC to me. We go to a strip club for his bachelor party. There's the one Jewish woman. We could tell she was Jewish because she had a fucking Star of David tattoo on her quad. I'm like,
really?
That's an AC Jew right there.
A stripper with a Star of David on her thigh? Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
That's a fucking, yeah.
But no, I have a weird love of AC, even though I've had fun nights there too. It's weird.
I've really started to appreciate gambling more.
Do you gamble?
Well, not a big time, but it's fun. When I do my Vegas gigs, me and the crew, we get a table, we do blackjack.
It's fun.
I always hit the high limit slots. That's the most fun is you just risk it. You go, I'm putting $1,000 in this and spinning 200 a spin. But when it hits, you actually get a payout, Yeah, we do that every time. Everyone though is you got to do craps. They're like, you're out of your mind if you don't do craps.
I don't really get it.
I don't either. That's why I think the part of the fun is I'll just put money down and be like, did I win?
I do blackjack usually.
I love blackjack. The luck, but here's the thing. You have to, like, I've gotten to the point where I accept that it is the luck of the shoe. Like, you have good shoes and bad shoes. So when it's a good one, you just fucking enjoy it. And you just, like, when the bad, it's not like, oh, strategically I didn't, it's like, no, you just get bad hands. That's how it works. You know, it is luck.
And it's all about the table vibe. Like, if you draw a dude, well, we drew the biggest douchebag at our table. This guy who was just like, he was some like guy from Syracuse. He just kept like talking, and he goes, where are you from? And I go, New York City. He goes, eh. And I was like, where are you from? He goes, Syracuse. I was like, you're New York. I was like, and I'm fucking hammered. So I was like, that's the worst fucking city in the state. Fuck Syracuse. And he's like, I have never. He's getting like offended. And then he's trying to high five us after hands. I'm like, fuck you, dude.
Fuck off.
And he pulled this card. He goes, well, I have a wife and kid. What do you have? I'm like, where the fuck are they? It's 2 a.m. You're at the blackjack table. Clearly, it's not good.
A guy who doesn't know how to play will fuck the table too.
Dude, you get so fucking mad.
I've had a few on tour with me, like even friends who I'm like, what are you doing? And they're like, isn't it the point to get 21? I'm like, bro, no, dude. You don't like, you're not, like they're hitting 18s. They're like, I'm trying to get to 21. I'm like, that's not how you play. They're like, I
know, but those dudes are kind of funny too. We're just watching a dude just flush their money down the toilet.
One of my friend's dads was with us, and he goes, if you hit that again, I'll stab you in the fucking neck. This is like a grown man. I was like, oh my God. But I was laughing so hard. He was like talking to the dealer. He's like an older guy, and he was like, what's your name? And it was like this Asian dealer. He was like, Dave. He goes, what's your real name? I was
what
like,
the
fuck, man. It was right out of the gate too. I was like, oh Jesus Christ, like a 70-year-old man.
That ain't good.
No, I was like, oh fuck. Yeah, but he was like real hot about the play because my friends legitimately did not have a clue what they were, and I didn't know. I was like, dude, what are you doing?
You bond if you get a good table, you bond with those
people.
Yeah.
And if everybody's table wins, like when everybody starts winning, that is a thrill. That's a thrill. We had a few of those. I was there like last week, and we had like a couple really fun runs where everybody's winning at the hand. And the dealer, you could tell the dealer was like, he was like telling some of the guys, he was like, don't hit that.
That dude's getting fucking God after that.
We were all like,
they're on the monitor, like, we're gonna fucking kill him. They're like, Dave, can we speak with you for a sec? He's fucking breaking his hand.
Yeah. Oh shit, it's so fun. It's fun, dude.
You ever see that movie The Cooler with that's kind of a fun one.
And he's so perfect as that.
Yeah.
He like, it sounds like an insult, but he's so perfectly pathetic.
Yeah.
What's his name?
William H. Macy.
He's so pathetic in the movie. And it's like he embodies it like just so well.
Yeah.
Like he sits and he really is the cooler, you know? Yeah, and Alec Baldwin, right? He's in that too.
And fucking Maria Bello's titties.
Yeah.
Thumbs up.
Yeah.
She was awesome in that movie.
Like even like the hair, the suit, it's all perfect.
He plays that guy in Boogie Nights too, that kind of just loser.
Yeah.
He's a great actor though.
So fucking good.
Fargo too, kind of plays that fucking loser.
Yeah. Yep. His lady's getting banged in front of him, and it's so brutal.
Boogie Nights is one that, like, if it's on TV, I'm like, well, there goes 3 hours. It's so fucking good. The music too, it's like every tune in that movie.
Yeah, I was just thinking too about this is totally not the same thing, but Talented Mr. Ripley.
Dude, I love that movie.
I love
Great
that
book
movie.
too. Fucking Patricia Highsmith. That movie is like, that was on TV the other day, and I was just like, Philip Seymour Hoffman again.
If it's on, it's also like aesthetically, it's so great. You know, it's in Italy. It's like the 60s or something, and you know, like the style of it and all the. This is also, I remember watching this movie. So here's the thing: I never saw Good Will Hunting.
Oh wow!
So when the two of them became like household names from it, I was like, I did that thing where I was like, I don't give a shit, these two fucks, right? I just didn't care. I didn't care about the movie. I just kind of moved on. And this comes out and I'm like, oh, it's that fucking guy. And here's the thing. I watched this movie and I was so blown away by how good of an actor Matt Damon was in this movie. I was like, oh, this guy is fucking legitimately like an amazing, he's fantastic in this movie.
So good in it.
And then I remember seeing the trailer for The Firstborn. I was like, this fuck is going to play like a badass.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't.
He's going to crush it again.
And I saw the trailer. I was like, this is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen. Yeah. And then I saw the movie. I was like, no, it's pretty good.
Those Bourne movies rule.
Those are amazing until they put Renner in one. And then you're like, oh, that's no good. Yeah, that one they're like, you go like, oh, he's
But
not
Renner
born.
in the Town, dude.
Yeah, he's
That's
good in
a
that.
cool fucking role.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, Matt Damon, kind of underrated comedy actor too, man.
He's great.
He's funny as shit.
He's great.
And a lot. I mean, yeah, I love movies like that are just super fucking dark and don't have a happy ending.
yeah.
It's like this dude murders again and then just gets away with it.
And here's the thing about it. I think about that and Match Point. The
Match Point's good.
So the two things about both those movies, I'm like, this is how great the filmmaking is. There's this thing that's happening where at the very end, when they get away with it, you're like, good. You know, like, and you're like, that's so fucked up.
Yeah.
But like, you want the guy in Match Point to get away with it, and then like in Talented Mr. Ripley, I mean, I don't know what it says about me, but it's like he's just like, then he gets the allowance from the dad, and you're like, way to go, man.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
You did mission accomplished.
You did a great job. Yeah. It's so fucked up.
It's so funny. Woody Allen makes so many movies where the piece of shit person just wins.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, what are you trying to tell us?
Well,
He's like, I should win.
I should win.
I should win.
I think I will. Yeah.
But he got a little too on the nose with some of those like husbands and wives where you're like, dude, these are like, or fuck it. You rewatch Manhattan now. That's a beautiful looking movie. It's an incredible movie, but it's legitimately just like, there's nothing learned by the end. He's just like, I couldn't make it work with this child.
Yeah.
Not like I shouldn't fuck kids.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, I couldn't, you know, my friend Ronan Hirschberg was like, that's a rom-com for pedophiles.
Wow.
That's
really?
what he called it. Basically, I mean, she's I guess 18, but she's a high school senior. Like, you shouldn't be fucking, you know what the fucked up connection with Woody Allen is too, is that girl goes to Dalton in the 70s. You know who taught at Dalton in the 70s? Jeffrey Epstein.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's what, and they knew each other.
Those two did?
Yeah, I hate to get too fucking rabbit hole on you, but
No.
that's a weird
It's
connection.
a good clique of friends. Yeah.
That's a
Those are the buddies you want.
Look, they had nice homes, I'm sure.
Yeah. That guy was connected to so many movers.
He must have had great dinner parties aside from the children.
Incredible.
Aside from the underage women, those were probably some interesting people at those parties.
How about, and I'm the last conspiracy theorist guy.
Yeah.
But the fact that list is not released, it's not public.
It's fucking weird.
It's the strangest thing.
I'm not Jews aren't big conspiracy theory people either.
Yeah.
We're just not, it's like, it always ends with us eating babies somehow.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
always is like something George Soros, then
Controlling
Jews,
the interest rates.
Jews
Yeah,
eat babies.
Yeah.
And you're like, that we don't eat babies.
Fucking.
But no, I'm with you. There's something shady as fuck.
Well, that's cool. After the child sex convictions.
You can't just turn your back on friends.
No.
Look at Woody's outfit too. What is he?
So insane.
He lives in Manhattan. Why is he dressed like he's going on a safari?
He always wears that goofy fucking hat.
What is he doing?
And the pants are too high. There's no excuse for looking like that.
He's made it work though. I mean, that is insane that he's still with that same daughter.
Yeah.
He's still with her.
All these years later. Yeah. He's fucking like 80 something.
87, I think.
At this point, this relationship becomes, like a father. You know what I mean?
Isn't
like
that weird that he's
87
dating his stepdaughter
Yeah.
and now she kind of becomes the parent because of his age.
Because
That's
of his,
fucked up.
It's very fucked up.
I think he's one of those like super geniuses that just wants to be with someone who I don't think, maybe she's like a sounding board. I don't think she's contributing a lot intellectually on his level. I just can't.
No?
I think there's like hyper intellectual people like that who are either with someone they're equal or people who are like, I'm the genius and you tolerate my genius. And you can't be with someone who's your equal if you're as prolific as Woody Allen. This guy put out like a movie a year for like ever.
Decades. Yeah.
I mean, he's just got to be, as far as like American filmmakers, it's fucking taboo to say now, but like there's not a lot of people in his league.
Yeah. I haven't seen a lot of his work though. I haven't. I think all New York people are more exposed to it because he's like the quintessential New York guy.
Dude, you know what? I got a rec for you if you've never seen Bullets Over Broadway.
Yeah.
I think it's his funniest movie. It's
Really?
starring, he's not in it. It's John Cusack and Diane Wiest and Chaz Palminteri. I think one of them won an Oscar for it. It's
Really?
so fucking funny.
Maybe I'll do.
That's Colin Quinn's favorite. He's like, I give the New York vote of confidence.
Yeah.
Colin Quinn's got great movie recs.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's my favorite Woody Allen comedy too.
All right. I'll check it out.
Bullets Over Broadway's fucking, we watched it when we were on tour bus. We watched it. It killed on the
It killed?
bus.
Really?
It's fucking funny.
All right.
The premise is it's a gangster. Like John Cusack's a struggling playwright in like the 20s, and they can't get his play made, and they're like, we got a donor, we got a guy who donated money, and it's Joe Vitarelli from Analyze This, you know, the fat guy.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, but you got to cast, he's a mafia guy. You got to cast my girlfriend. And it's Jennifer Tilly, and she's the worst actress in the world. So they get the play made, but they're now casting the worst fucking actress in a supporting role.
Yeah.
It's killer.
That's funny. Yeah, I'll check that out. I'll check it out. I need to watch some of his stuff. I don't know. I was turned off by the molesting his children, but I'll check
It
out
ain't
his
good.
stuff. Yeah. No.
It ain't good. Also, I got another rec. Bill Cosby himself.
That's a
Have you seen
fantastic.
that?
I've seen that. That's actually the first stand-up thing I ever saw in my life. It was great.
No, that's the thing. It's like, yeah, he's done some fucking bad shit probably, but
He's made some great movies.
he's made some, and this one you don't have to feel as bad because he's not even in it.
Yeah.
You know,
Epstein,
But
great
you know what?
investor. You can't knock his investments. He's done a great job
Yeah.
with people's money. You know? I mean, what are we going to do? Act like he didn't know what he was talking about?
you can hate the art or the artist, but not the art. What about? He also opens. The fucked up thing is he opens with this movie with God. What's the name of that singer who did blackface? Fuck, it's a famous song. You'll know the guy. I don't remember. But
Ted Danson?
No, I don't remember. You'll look it up. And
Really? Okay.
But dude, that great fucking movie.
All right. A reminder, you can see Sam Morril on November 4th at the theater at Madison Square Garden. You can get tickets right now at sammorril.com.
And I'm everywhere on the road.
He's on the road.
Yeah, I'm Phoenix, Indianapolis, Columbus, Cincy, Chicago. Fucking, I'm going to Australia too. That's a big one.
That is so. Have you done it before?
Never, man.
So
You're actually
fun.
a big reason I went because I saw you going. I was like, I should fucking.
Dude, it's so fun.
Well, I'm doing all that in November, like everywhere in Australia, and then I got Vegas and Florida. But
You're going to have such a good time in Australia.
and Cleveland. I'm like all over.
Very
I'm
good.
sammorril.com.
There you go.
/shows. But
He's touring everywhere. Get tickets.
By the way, I'm coming everywhere.
Yeah.
Best tour
Good
name
tour.
ever.
I know. It's
You
going to be hard
crushed
to.
it.
It's going to be hard. Thank you. It's going to be hard to top it.
They're hard to come up with.
They are.
Because you
I
sound
know.
corny a lot of the time.
I know. I did No Teeth, No Entry was one.
That's a good
I
one.
did Take It Down. And then, I did Coming Everywhere. The next one, I don't know. I need to come
Coming
up with
everywhere was like, I was like, fuck, how has that not been
I know.
done?
That's the other thing is you go like, this hasn't been done. Thanks.
It's hard to do a pun that's not
I know. What's your current one called?
class act tour.
Yeah.
More is just sarcastic because it's a lot of abortion and murder jokes and stuff
that's
like
awesome.
that.
That's
So,
awesome. Yeah, you're such a great joke writer, man.
Thank
I
you,
really
man.
enjoy it. I
Appreciate that a lot.
You're one of the few that like people post their stuff on Instagram, but yours I actually watch. I actually watch your stuff on there.
Dude, I watch all your clips too. And
thanks.
and I love especially sitting in Bert's seat, man.
Yeah, man.
This is I watch all these clips and I love all the clips with Christina. I love your other podcast.
Oh,
too.
thanks,
And,
dude. Thanks. Well, we'd love to have you on anytime.
I want to come
Anytime.
back.
All right. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for listening. Go see Sam Morril on tour, and we'll see you next week.
Bert and Tom, Tom and Bert. One goes topless while the other wears a shirt. Tom tells stories and Bert's the machine. There's not a chance in hell that they'll keep it clean. Here's what we call 2 bears, 1 cave.